This week's episode is sponsored by Helio Gas Detection. Hey everyone, this is Letty for the Smashed and Skull Sessions. I'm joined by not one, but two bands for this episode. I'm joined by Beneath the Waves and Living with Giants. Everyone, how are you doing?
Good.
All right. Not bad.
Very good, yeah.
All good, all good. So, welcome to the podcast. We were just discussing beforehand all the weather and all the weird things happening.
Oh yeah.
Storms, fires, everything. So weird.
I know. It's amazing what's happening over here.
My God. So to our listeners who maybe haven't heard of you guys before, could you introduce yourself and your role in the band and what band members you are?
Yeah. I'm Ryan. I'm from Living with Giants. I started as a solo project and now I write and compose and perform any instrumentation I'm able to for what we do.
And I'm Carver, Living with Giants, and I play drums.
Awesome.
Do you want me to go, Ainsley? Or do you
Yeah,
wanna
go for it, Andrew. Go for it.
My name's Andy. I'm one of two members of Beneath Waves with Ainsley, and I take up the role of just writing at the same co-writing with Ainsley, as well as guitar instrumentation and any other kind of instrumentation we can do.
And I'm Ainsley, and I'm in Beneath Waves with Andy, and I do all the other stuff that Andy also does, and I play a lot of piano. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe you can both give a little bit of backstory of how you guys met and came into contact for this project that we're going to talk about later in the episode.
Yeah. I think for us, we had heard about Beneath Waves through Stray Horse Records. And we just kind of immediately were fixated. At the time we were a duo, so we're like, oh, another duo, let's go for it, dude. Especially within this genre, the scape, you see like a lot of solo projects or full-fledged huge 5 pieces, not a lot of duos, and it's always interesting to see. So I think that's kind of what led us to first have a fixation. So we just shot the message and we're like, dude, we like what you're doing. And just kind of snowballed, I think.
Yeah, it's been a quite of a weird journey because me and Ainsley were new to the whole entire thing, just writing in general. So when we started writing the first album, and then Stray Horse Records, started messaging us, and they mentioned Living with Giants. Next thing you know, Living with Giants, Ryan's messaging us, and then it like you said, it just kind of snowballed. But it was this kind of, it picked up really quickly of like, oh my God, like there's this band out there that really likes us for some strange reason, and they make some great music. It's like, oh, quickly cling on to them quickly. And and then it kind of spiraled into this just kind of friendship of and this enjoyment of music between a group of people, which is kind of rare these days for me, because I don't really meet many people who are musically inclined, but to have people with such passion behind it as well with Living with Giants, it was great for us. Yeah, it made everything so much better for us.
That's awesome because I was even saying before the episode, like Ryan or Carter, whichever one owns the Instagram, it was like what, November, December when we started planning this?
Oh, I think what time was that? That might have been October. Somewhere in
even
there,
earlier.
because we knew that we wanted to make this release really special, especially with it being a split, because you make friends. And for us, we've been a band since 2009 as a solo project, as a full-fledged band since 2011. We wanted to be able to kind of just take our friends on a journey with us with the split. So we had this whole thing, like this whole road planned ahead of us. It's like a big road trip that friends always get together. And it's like, if we have to have one last one, this is going to be it.
That's pretty awesome. God, October. Because I remember we started planning it for January and all this, like it is the date that we planned for at time of recording. And I
Yeah.
remember thinking in work, like, need my roster for the 25th, need my roster for the 25th, need my roster for the 25th. And lo and behold, I had it off. So I was like, yes, meant to be. So, talking about the project, on the 7th of February, your split EP is being released. How did you come up with the idea for the split?
Well, I think Ryan kind of. I can't actually remember how it happened. I can't remember who Ryan was talking to, whether it was me or Ainsley at the time. Next thing I know, it was just, oh, should we just release a vinyl? Oh, yes, you sent me a band. I can't remember what they were called. The Movements, was it, or something like that?
Oh, it was Moving Mountains and
Moving Mountain. Yeah.
Prawn. They had a split that really inspired me a long time ago that I'm like, this is just a really solid release, but each band has their own stamp on each side and it's totally equal. And that's what I really wanted.
I'd never heard of
So,
anything like that before. Bands, they were doing that before ever until you sent me that. And I thought it was a really cool idea. Yeah. And it was just, a new experience for us as well.
mhm.
That's pretty awesome because since I've discovered like you guys are doing a split, I've gone back and seen like some of my favorite bands like Heart Attack Man and McCarthy. They did a split. Couples Therapy and Modern Baseball. They did a split as well. I was like,
Mhm.
what? I've never heard of these before. They're really common.
Yeah, they're not too uncommon, especially in like the American scene from what I've seen. A lot of the emo scene, hardcore scene, not too many metal bands that I've personally seen until you get into like some of the heavier genres like doom or sludge, like or hardcore. But yeah, they're not too uncommon. And we've actually had a few splits that we've tried to plan out in the past that ended up kind of, bands end up getting busy. We had our hiatus at the time for one of them as well. And, it just felt perfect match at this point.
Match made in heaven. And you have the EP behind you, the vinyls. They look sick apps, by the way. They're really, really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we had the packaging done by Teeth Like Swords over at Rhode Island. And Audio Geography, Tyler did a really, really, really great job on all of the vinyl. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Even I was admiring this before, but if you flip it upside down, it's actually like labeled straight on with each other for mine. I don't know about your guys's stock that you got, but I'm
Yeah, no,
thoroughly
they're all
impressed.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they came out great.
Yeah.
And a
Oh,
And then
big,
we ended
big,
up doing a little packaging job with it too, little personal touch that the first run buyers are going to enjoy.
and a big, big congratulations on selling out the pre-orders. Like, Beneath Waves, at time of recording, you have 3 left on the Bandcamp, is it?
2, I believe.
Yeah, it's
2?
2 now. Yeah. Yeah.
Too.
Wow.
Nice.
Nearly there.
Yeah. We're happy to say that at the time that we are going to be releasing this podcast, we should have more available thanks to our first run supporters. That everybody has been a massive, massive influence on us to keep pushing forward. And that's, seemed to like the vinyl. So we really wanted to try to do the best thing that we can. And we're going to be doing a special variant again, limited quantity as well. And we'll definitely have more details available in just a few days, probably.
This is proper evidence of support the scene, be the scene. Like, it's
Yeah.
just amazing to see
Definitely.
it.
Yeah.
So how was the recording process for the split? Because you guys, Beneath Waves or UK, Living with Giants America, how did it work?
It was I suppose with each band's respective songs, I can't speak for Living with Giants. Obviously, for us, it was quite difficult because one of the songs it went down a sort of more traditional poppy kind of route, I suppose, mainly just because we added vocals and we haven't really dabbled in vocals as much except for maybe one song. So this one's a bit more heavy, vocal orientated, and it would appeal to, I suppose, a much greater mass audience. But the second one we have on was actually a song I wrote years and years ago. It was one of the first songs that I suppose I could say, oh, I finished a post-rock song and I did it. And then Ainsley heard it and he was basically just like, oh, we should just do that. I was like, nah, don't be silly. He's like, no, just do that. Just redo that. And so I ended up just finishing it off and extending it even more and came into this fully fledged song again.
Yeah, I remember the first time Andrew showed me that song, and like the very first time I heard it, like when it was like way back when you first finished it, right? Like years ago.
Yeah, a very long time ago.
It would have been at like university together at the time, maybe. Was it that long
Yeah.
ago? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Right. And I always loved that song. And then like when we were like throwing ideas around for our next bit of music, I guess. And we stumbled upon that, and I was like, "Man, we've got to do that. It's such a good song. Like, I love that song so much." And I was like, "We can like do something with it. We can like put more on it." It was a super exciting idea. And the other one sort of started off as like me messing around with a bit of piano, and then it sort of evolved into a song with like you said, like vocals and stuff. And
yeah, the vocals weren't intentional; they just kind of happened.
yeah, I mean, like it's not completely common to have a bit of vocals over a post rock song, but it ended up evolving that way. And sometimes you just got to like let the music go where it goes and where you ever feel like it needs to at the time, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
Roll with the
Exactly.
punches.
For us, the recording process was really interesting. It's one of the first times that we've been able to go back into studio in a while and work on a lot of different textures and soundscapes that were not accessible to us with the addition of Andrew or McKay to make it easy for this conversation, Andy. But yeah, McKay had a concert today, so he couldn't join us, unfortunately. But the recording process, it was just beautiful. We were blessed with the ability to work with Velvetone Studios and a handful of very, very, very talented musicians and engineers who all put a really great stamp on the process. A lot of it kind of for us stems from the obsession of short sentence poems. So On the Fall and Rise of the Light was the first intended piece. Initially, it was supposed to be a single that we were kind of talking about. Even on our file sharing site between Carver and I, it's still labeled as single. So, yeah. And it stems from the idea of divinity and the cycles that we go through on a daily life of falling and rising, and just life, death, everything. Cycles in relationships, everything, anything that you want to put it out to. So we needed an antithesis. So Embraced kind of takes that and turns it into, well, it's a very compressing kind of feeling. So it's been a lot of fun working on both these pieces for me personally and for Carver.
Yeah, no, the recording process was a lot of fun. For us, because our last couple of releases were pretty much all done in our home studios. Being able to go to a larger space and record on some great gear, getting to be in a larger acoustic space was really interesting. So for us being able to do Ryan's guitar, the acoustic guitar, the strings, having our session musicians come in, and then having McKay get to record his full orchestral percussion setup in a large studio space. I think that was a really good opportunity for us. It really let us kind of take that recording to the next level. And then, being able to combine that with our home studio, process that we've been doing for the last few releases, we wound up with I think a really, really good sounding song out of it. Just being able to be in those spaces and and record in a different, more ambitious way than we have recently.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love hearing like bands about like their experiences of going into the studio and playing with all the different gear. I remember, are you familiar with the band Periphery?
Yeah, for sure. Funny enough, there's a lot of weird backstories between all three of us with Periphery. So
I watched a documentary of them recording their third album, P3.
mhm.
And Misha, their guitarist, he was just showing off this amp and he was just like, I didn't think we could afford this, so we're gonna make the most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we don't
we
sound
did
like
that.
Periphery at all, but we've all followed them going ways back, and for them being like starting as a bedroom project and a kind of bedroom studio band,
Yeah.
and then to go into what they are now, definitely, we've been watching them for years.
Yeah, and I think a lot for us in the local scene for Sacramento, there at the time when we were playing live shows, we were very ingrained in the metal scene just because we were slightly adjacent being post. And people kind of didn't know what to do with us half the time. um, we ended up getting a lot of influence of how bands were ran a lot through the metal scene that we are seeing. So seeing people like Periphery and Bulb and everything that Misha's been involved in, like they still engineer themselves. Modern baseball is another great example. They did their own engineering too. So it really just kind of highlights what I know all of us here, we identify as engineers. So it just really shows what we're capable of in home studios at this point.
That's really awesome. How
Yeah.
is the music scene in Sacramento? Because correct me if I'm wrong here, I'd call Deftones the poster boys for Sacramento.
It depends on the genre.
Yeah, they're probably the biggest band that's come out.
Cake is another one.
Cake, Dance Gavin Dance.
Papa Roach is from the local area. They're from Vacaville.
Yeah.
There's a few other fun ones too. And they're all
Terra
Terra Mellows, Math Rock, yeah.
Death Grips, like
Death Grips.
Yeah. I don't know. Sacramento's an interesting scene for sure. It's it's diverse. I think when we were playing a lot of shows, it was always tricky. Ryan kind of mentioned that a second ago, but promoters didn't know whether to put us with the pop punk bands or the metal bands. There weren't a ton of post rock bands. I think we were things might be different now that we're not playing shows, but when we were, we kind of felt like we weren't quite in any category, but there's a lot of energy in the scene here, and we really
creativity.
We really loved playing around and meeting the other bands when we were playing more shows.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Andy and Ainsley, did you ever experience that problem? Not sure, like promoters not sure what to box your genre and all that?
I mean, I can't speak for Ainsley, but I sometimes struggle putting our own band in a genre or a box. That's why I used to always put a post rock band, alternative rock. It was, I don't know, it was always a struggle for me. Is trying to, because I've never wrote post rock music before. I love it. I love listening to it. But when me and Ainsley got together, this was my first attempt at like, I'm going to try and write post rock music. So a lot of my influences from, I don't know, like Muse and Biffy Clyro, Radiohead, and all this lot. That's all, and Jack White and all the blues stuff randomly started appearing. I was like, I don't know how to write post rock music, so I'm just going to write Andrew music. But I can't speak for Ainsley though.
Yeah, I mean that's similar for me though. Like we have like a lot of like crossover with interests and influences and stuff. So like I don't know, like I said, we got together. So let's write some post rock. Okay, let's try that. Like we both listened to a plethora of different post rock bands, or bands we classify as post rock bands, and it was like, yeah, okay, let's do that. That sounds like fun. That sounds like a good project. And then before you know it, you're like writing a song, and then you're doing something. I was like, this sounds really good. I was like, this isn't what we set out to do. And I was like, but it sounds good. So like, like we'll just do it anyway.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So then, didn't it? Oh yeah, loads of times. Yeah. When we start writing like a song, it's like, yeah, this might be a really good post rock song. And then before you know it, it just sounds like something like from Radiohead's back catalog. Like, all right, I'm down with it. It's cool. Yeah,
well, that's actually how we started to get songs off our album, like Into the Abyss, if I remember correctly. It started off with this Johnny Greenwood Radiohead-esque kind of twiddly guitar bit. And I was like, right, how do we finish it? And Ainsley's like, lounge jazz music right at the end. Sounds mint though. Sounds so good, and I love it every time it comes on. It's so peaceful and it's beautiful, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, I can't explain how we do
it
it.
sounds kind of cliche that if you do if you try and like sit down and go, right, we're going to write music, for this situation, and it can work, but sometimes you just go off on tangents and things just sound good, and then if you're like, I kind of want to do a little jazz piano thing at the end, it sounds good, and then you enjoy it, and then all you do is you put the music out. If people enjoy it, and then you just hope that the people who do listen to it are the people who you identify with musically and that like the similar stuff to you. And then before you know it, does it really matter if you what kind of box you put the music into? Because at the end of the day, as long as people enjoy it, that's all that really matters to me, at least.
Yeah, and it's a talking point for the song. Like if you put like a mad drop D piano part at the end, people come up to you and be like, "Oh, that piano bit was wild," and
sax solos everywhere.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the one.
that's
Thank
the way
you,
to
Bill
do
Murray.
it. You can all give an answer for this. If you could collaborate with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
oh,
I got one. Max Richter. I think that would probably be one of my favorites because of his work that he's done in like liminal sleep and dealing with like interesting frequencies. As a contemporary classical composer, I feel like he just has a different mindset than other musicians, and it would be fun to pick his brain to kind of, dive a little further than what we kind of try to dive into during On the Fall and Rise in the intro.
You had that locked and loaded, ready to go.
I got that question like the other day, like from a coworker.
I think mine, probably because of the approach to music and the approach to production and stuff, and just how varied a lot of the stuff he's released is in the past with various projects. I'd probably have to say Stephen Wilson myself. Yeah, he some songwriter, some producer, like the man knows how to make music sound good. Like I want me a piece of that. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah, for sure. Multitude of instruments as well, which I always find interesting. So yeah, just go into a studio, get a load of gear out, and just see what happens. That would be the dream.
You just be there like,
you have
play
one,
this.
Carver?
Yeah.
While I think, Carver, do you have one? While I think of
yeah, I was stalling while I was trying to think too. You just called it out first. Yeah, I could make a long list. I don't want to just steal your answer because that was a good one.
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
what about that jazz drummer you saw the other day too? He's interesting.
Yeah, well, that wasn't going to be on my answer. So the other day I saw Antonio Sanchez, who's a jazz drummer, and he did the soundtrack to the movie Birdman. And so now he's doing a tour where he plays the soundtrack live to a screening of the movie, and they were just in Sacramento the other day. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I was during the making of this record, I was listening to a lot of Lewis Cole, who's another jazz drummer and funk drummer. And I was listening to him because he had done an album with an orchestra I was trying to listen to orchestral music that wasn't post rock, and so I had found that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with my jazz drummer answers.
For me, it'll be someone that probably only Ainsley might not know. But I used to, me and Ainsley know a band called Arcane Roots, and the lead singer guitarist Andrew Groves, he recently in the band before they broke up, he started delving into a lot of synths and modulation and all that lot. And I'm a Patreon on his Patreon. I follow his Patreon, and he's got all these sessions and tutorials and classes and stuff like that. And they're just so interesting. And the way his brain works and the stuff he can create, I just love to just watch him just see what he does, learn from him, and he's a genius musician. He's so lovely, so down to earth. But yeah, I'd advise anyone to listen to Arcane Roots and Andrew Groves and check him out. He's phenomenal. Yeah,
I've heard of the Arcane Roots, but I've never actually checked them out. So
very good.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah,
it's worth checking out for sure.
this is our sign.
Well, we've got homework now.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you you can all give an answer for this one as well. Do you have any album releases you're looking forward to in 2025?
I don't even know what's coming out lately.
Yes.
Like, we've been so wrapped up in, like we've kind of said, like our recording session for On the Fall and Rise was, earlier in the period last year. So from that snowball point, I'd say from February onward, we've been very focused on just a lot of what's been going on with us and kind of focusing on these releases, because I did the mastering on the digital side of it. And what ended up happening was, we all ended up, we didn't hide anything during the process either. We wanted both bands to be like, hey, check this out. We wanted to be that friendly, what's going on. So,
yeah, I'm just bad at keeping up with releases. I feel like I always find out something has just been released like a month after it comes out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was looking forward to that. I didn't realize it came out already. That's like my I'm just so bad at keeping up on release news and everything. So I don't know what's coming out, but
I think Mogwai just had one.
There's a ton of great releases coming out soon, I'm sure. I just live under a rock.
Yeah.
I've seen one confirmed for this year. I've seen a lot of other rumored ones, but the one I'm looking forward to is Whitechapel's new record.
Okay.
Like death metal from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, I love Whitechapel.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah,
they started writing their records now is they're following a story now, so it's really interesting to see where they're going to take the next chapter of it.
Okay. Kind of like what Coheed and Cambria has done on some of their stuff.
Yeah, kind of like concept albums. Very much like 21 Pilots, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Very fun.
Ainsley, I'm drawing a blank as well. I feel like I'm in the same boat with you guys.
Completely
been sidetracked.
Yeah, I've not really looked at anything that's due out anytime soon. I'm sure, like once all this dies down a bit, I'll reintegrate myself into finding stuff. But yeah, I have no idea.
I'm always up for the latest Slipknot album. That's always going to be on my radar. But other than that, I've been maybe Muse. I know Muse are cooking up something. I'm a big Muse fan. The Smile, Tom York, Johnny Greenwood, and Skinner. Who was it again?
Yeah, Tom.
Is it Tom Skinner?
Yeah.
So that power trio, they're always cooking something up. I think they've just released a new album. But yeah, I'm out of the loop. I've been focused on Beneath Waves and other stuff, and it's just
Apparently, Slipknot are gonna release like that EP from 2009 that Clown's been saying for the last 5 years.
All right.
Release and haven't. So I have to see if we get this Dirty Window EP or whatever it's called. Jim Root says he's just gonna drop it.
Oh, please do. Just get it out.
But this has been.
Oh yeah.
It's been on the verge of release for like 5 years.
If I had to kick one album that is going to potentially release, we never know when it's going to happen, and this is the LP, so it's the re-release, but the Taylor's version of her debut, because I just need a few more to complete my album set.
9 Inch Nails are back touring, so maybe Trent Reznor will just be like, drop an album, because I know he doesn't give any warning, does he?
No.
Yeah, he just drops, so I'll have
That'll
to
be
see.
a fun one. I look forward to that if that happens.
Been too busy making soundtracks.
He'll release the vinyl release of all of his studio soundtracks. That will be the release just under 9 Inch Nails' name.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There we go.
box set.
Yeah, box set accompanied with all the movies.
Um,
And we're on to our last question. Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to start a band in 2025?
Just do it. Just do it.
I mean, it's rudimentary, but it's good advice.
Yeah.
Like if you don't do it, you'll. It sounds a bit mind blowing. If you don't do it, you won't do it. Like literally, just like sit down, write some music, and see what happens.
I mean,
release it. Like,
sorry, I was just sorry. Carry on. Sorry, I was going to interject for a second. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say, like just release it. Like you'll never. I feel like a lot of musicians. Again, I can only speak for myself and others that I know like incredibly close to me, but like there's a chance that you might never always be happy with what you're writing. Just like release it though, like get it as good as you think it can be, and then let other people listen to it, and then just get on with it. Like get it out, let people listen to it, because there's a lot of music that people will never get to listen to because people will never release, people will never get round to actually doing it, and it's a shame because like there was times when like I'm sure like both me and Andrew, I'm blaming obviously like he'll be able to elaborate this for himself, obviously. But like, there's times when I've been like, I'm not sure if I'm going to release this, and then before I know it, I'm just like forcing myself to do it. And then the best thing I ever did was push music out for other people to listen to.
I mean, our whole journey for Beneath Waves was literally just me and Ainsley countless times playing video games, listening to music together, and going, wouldn't it be cool to do this? It'd be really cool if we did this. It's like, why don't we just do it and just try it? And that's literally how Beneath Waves happened. It was just us saying, why don't we just try it, see what happens? And if you'd have told me and Ainsley, that we'd have an album out that we, mixed and mastered ourselves, it might not be perfect, but we did it. So yeah, just do it.
Ryan and Carver, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I just maybe to kind of piggyback on what Ainsley said, I think just finding the balance between working on your craft and actually getting it out there. I know that's something that we struggle with a lot. We always want to add that extra layer of polish or, try to make something 10% better. And so I think, at some point you just got to get it out. You've got to go for it and, stop chasing the diminishing returns of like that extra layer of polish, but to just get it out there, release your stuff, get it out in the world. I think that's really the thing is, as you said, it's cliche, it's really simple, but you got to do it. Just do it at some point.
And do it for the music. Don't worry about doing it for anyone else. Like even for myself, there's parts that like McKay or Carver even, or even just interjections from other trusted musicians that I know, they're just like, what about doing this? I may initially think, it's not a good idea, but do it for the music. If it serves the piece, why not? There's a suggestion that McKay made at the last minute in studio for overlaying what was it, Glock, on the marimba, the bowed marimba parts in the intro of On the Fall and Rise. And it was like we had 20 minutes left and we are like, I don't know, dude. And we took the shot at it, and it's now one of my favorite little ornamentations that we have. It was worth it to try. So do it for the music. Yeah. Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for the listeners. Rick Rubin it.
I'm gonna use that one.
That's gonna be the new Nike slogan. Rick Rubin it.
I'm stealing that one, Ryan. That's a good one.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out your evenings and your day to talk to me.
Of course.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been like 4 months in the making.
Yeah.
And the split is out the 7th of February.
Yep. 7th of February, streaming on the Fall and Rise since the 10th of January.